Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. But something weird has happened lately in my life. Something new that I've encountered that confuses me a little bit. And that is that I have been revisiting a hobby. I've told you many times in the past that I am a collector of hobbies, and for my life I've had, I'm not gonna, I think it's been hundreds of different hobbies. Maybe that's a bit of an you know, bit of a hyperbole, but at least dozens and dozens of hobbies, right? I've tried everything. And the way that my brain works, or the way that I've always done these things, is I will do those hobbies to a certain level of competency, and then that's it. I'm done. I don't. It usually involves me hitting a roadblock in in the learning process or something, and then I'm just like, I'm done. It's not worth the effort. I've got what I wanted out of this hobby, and I moved on to the next thing. So far, until recently, I've never gone back. Now, there are hobbies that I have maintained in a not all the time basis for most of my life, and that would be things like gaming. I'm a gamer, so I've been playing video games since video games were invented. I've been that's not true. I wasn't technically born before video games, but since the NES, let's say that. I've been playing board games my entire life. I've been reading my entire life. Fishing and making things, or woodworking, or whatever you want to call it. I would say those 5 things, I can't think of anything else, have been hobbies of mine my entire life. But I do them, some of them I do on very infrequent scales. Reading, for example, there has been times in my life where I've gone like 3, 4, 5 years without reading a book, just reading articles or whatever. So, even video games, there's times where I haven't picked my Switch up for 6 months because I just haven't felt like playing a video game. So those things, I don't necessarily consider going back to those revisiting. They've never came with a feeling of I'm done. All the other hobbies in the past, though, things that I've done, I've had this instinct feeling of I am done with this. I've had this internal feeling of this is awesome, I'm doing your thing, let's do it, and I want to do it all the time, and I'm making time to do the hobby, making time for it, and then I hit a point where it becomes, I don't know, like I said earlier, the challenge, or I've achieved what I've wanted out of it, and that feeling completely vanishes. And it usually happens literally overnight. Like I'll go to sleep, wake up the next day, and I'll just never touch that hobby again. But recently, I was searching for something to do. So next week I'm taking my PMP exam, and I've been studying. And a lot of that studying has been, I found a video series that goes through the entire course. It is a PMI course on project management. I've been going through that, and it's 35 hours or 40 hours of video. It's a lot, and the guy talking has a very interesting way of talking, and I've not been able to sit and just watch. So I was looking for something I could do to entertain myself that doesn't involve reading, because if I'm doing something that involves reading, I won't be able to listen. So something other than being on my phone, because if I'm on my phone, I'm going to open Twitter, and the next thing I know, I haven't listened to the last 10 minutes. And that thing has been lockpicking. I've been lockpicking again. Some of you know that I used to pick locks. I used to think I was pretty good at it. And for a very long time, I have carried an assortment of my common lockpicks in my computer bag. I've carried these around. I've used them on occasion in the distant past, to help friends get into their house or their loved one's house. I've gotten locks out of desks for people. I have used these to various levels in the past to help, or to, never, ever for crime. And I've sat around, in the past, I would sit around and just pick locks. Now, this became a hobby of mine In the early days of YouTube, there was a guy known as Bosnian Bill, and I mean he's still around, but he's not doing videos anymore. He retired from it, and he would pick locks and gut locks, and I started watching him. I was really fascinated in it. At that point in time, I was extremely poor, and I thought, well, this looks like a cost-effective hobby. I could buy a $10 lock at Walmart and spend time trying to pick it, trying to figure out how to pick it. And I thought that would be an interesting skill to have. Like all of the hobbies I've ever done, it's usually been about skill building. And so I bought locks whenever I could afford them, which was not very often. So I only had a small collection of locks, most of which offered very little in terms of difficulty, because they were all master locks or cheap Walmart knockoffs that are just super easy to open. If you go back before this show started on this channel, long, long, long ago, there's a video of me picking a master lock in like 3 seconds. Actually, I raked it, but that's an entirely different subject. The point is, for many years now, I've been watching lockpicking lawyer pick locks, and I really enjoy watching him, talk about locks. It's kind of one of those ancillary, like, to keep my... I've kept thinking about lockpicking. I just never had any interest in doing it ever again. It was not something that I wanted to sit down and do, but I was still interested in learning about it or whatever. Or, for some reason I had it stuck in my head that I knew how to pick locks, and I have done it successfully. So that means I am therefore a lock picker, and I can do it again in the future. What I have discovered this past week, that's not the case. Like, I completely forgot how to do it. I mean, knowing the concept of how to pick a lock, knowing what you're doing to manipulate this lock so that it'll open on command is very, very different from actually being able to do that. Actually being able to do that takes a lot of skill that requires a whole lot of patience and training, right? So for some reason, I came downstairs, I was like, let me find a lock, and then I realized very, very recently, and I think it was when I was buying hinges for the router cabinet, I needed space in one of my pull-out drawer thingies. And I had all of my practice locks in that drawer thingy, and I pulled them out and said, I'm never going to do this hobby again, and I threw them away. Because they were all just, like I said, they were those generic master lock type things that offer no security. And so I was like, well, I actually don't have any locks. I found my lock picks. I remembered where they were. They were in my computer bag after not using them forever. And then I came down and I found that I still had one lock. It was over on my shelf with another set of lock picks. My, larger, the ones I didn't carry with me all the time. And this one actually has some pick resistance stuff in here. Pins that are pick resistant. So this has given me quite a bit of challenge over this past week. I've gotten to the point where I can open it pretty regularly. Nothing like watching lockpicking lawyer pick locks. I purchased some lockout tagout locks. These are really inexpensive master locks that actually have really good cores in them. And I've been trying to pick, I have not successfully picked either of these open. I bought the new version of this lock just recently. I've picked this one once. I've actually been just listening to this guy talk and picking locks, and I've been enjoying it. And that's a new experience for me. Revisiting an old hobby is something new to me. And the funny thing is, I've actually been thinking about revisiting a lot of, quote, old hobbies. I've been thinking a lot about fishing lately. I haven't fished in 5 or 6 years, probably. In fact, I threw all my fishing stuff away because, again, it was all kind of old and crappy, and it got wet in my basement and was moldy, and I decided if I was ever going to go fishing again, I would just buy new, because at that point in time when I bought that fishing equipment, I couldn't afford good fishing equipment, so it was all just crap Walmart stuff. I've been thinking about fishing again. I've been thinking about woodcut again. I've been thinking about woodcut a lot since last time I did it. I have new ideas for new imprints, and I want to do that. But this, and I've been thinking about the game design project I started 2 years ago. I want to get back to it at some point, but I've got a whole lot going on right now in my life, and I think that right now, because work is so boring, because all I've been doing at work is studying, my mind is racing for anything stimulating to do. Thankfully, at least, I had a little bit of stimulation to power through, and I've got this whole week to continue studying and picking locks and whatever. But yeah, this is an all new thing for me, and it's been really fun. And my kid's been enjoying it. And Em actually picked this one open. She didn't want to know. She just wanted to try, and she did it. It took her a while, but she did it. And that's pretty cool, too. My kid's up there, I think, picking at I bought them like a cheap practice lock. They're up there playing with that right now. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. I'm going to go back to studying. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends, wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is lumurpa. It is a noun meaning a mythological radiant bird from Asia that shines so brightly it absorbs its own shadow. The presence of numerous Waterford crystal chandeliers made the ballroom shine like a lumurpa. Lumurpa, Lumerpa. That's a fascinating word. And it's lowercase here. I would assume, I always just thought that mythological things were uppercase. I don't know. I don't know why I thought that.